In 1 Corinthians 12, we see the 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit listed and described. And in Galatians 5, we see the fruits of the Holy Spirit described there. You guys probably know those, or maybe hopefully familiar with those. If you're not, you can look them up, 1 Corinthians 12, Galatians 5. And both of these are from the Holy Spirit. So in Acts 2, the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit came, fell upon men and women. Holy Spirit came and fell. And what came with the Holy Spirit were the gifts of the Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Holy Spirit. When it comes to outreach and evangelism, those gifts and fruits are oftentimes used to bring the truth of Jesus and the light of Jesus to the world. A good example of that, and one that maybe you'll hear talked about around outreach and evangelism, is words of knowledge. And so somebody maybe, if I'm out with a group and we're witnessing, we're at a coffee shop, and we're all sitting around hanging out, and I hear inside from the Holy Spirit something about somebody in the coffee shop. This person has a daughter. The daughter has a health issue. The mom is stressed out about this issue. She's in fear. And I might receive that in my spirit, right? That would be called a word of knowledge. And I take that word of knowledge, and now the Lord wants to use that word of knowledge to bring the truth of the gospel and to bring ministry to this lady in the coffee shop. So that's an example of a word of knowledge. And I've experienced this in doing outreach several different times. And this is just one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit that can be used to bring Jesus to people. And so it's for us, and it's really to equip us to minister to one another, to minister to people outside of the church as well, like that example of having a word of knowledge or maybe a word of wisdom or a prophetic word, gifts of healing, gifts of faith. All of these gifts, they can be used, and the Lord wants to utilize them to bring the truth of the gospel to people outside of the church, within the church as well, though. So what's great is we walk around not just with our own resources, our best ideas, the best advice, from a book, like a how to interact with strangers, right? Those aren't our only resources. We actually have the resources of heaven at our disposal. And it's good for us to recognize that and to actually ask. It says in the word, it says, desire spiritual gifts. Desire spiritual gifts. So it's good for us to desire them, to ask for them, to pray for them. And as we receive those gifts, ask the Lord, how can I use these gifts? How can I use these fruits that come from the Holy Spirit to bring the truth of Jesus to the world? To minister to people in my surroundings, my neighbors, my friends, people within my family, even within the church. Lord, how can I use these things to bring you to people? And so it's really encouraging to me to think, man, I'm not just out there on my own, depending on myself, my own resources. I carry the resources of heaven. If you've been filled with the Holy Spirit, you also carry those same resources. The Holy Spirit's activity in you, He's going to speak to you. He's going to reveal things to you. I'm telling you, if you just ask, you will receive. I guarantee.